Okay, so you're looking for some real talk on migraines, huh? Not just the surface level stuff.
Right.
We get it.
Yeah.
We're diving deep today into all that info you got from that CareClinic article on self-care for migraines.
Yeah.
And our mission, total empowerment.
Absolutely.
Not just coping. We're talking
Well,
about really getting those migraine attacks,
right.
figuring out what your own personal triggers might be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest things to understand about migraines is that
Yeah.
they're not just bad headaches.
Right?
We're talking about complex neurological events.
Wow.
It's like your brain is sending out these crazy waves of electrical activity that just throw everything off.
It's kind of wild when you think about it that way.
It is?
No wonder a little aspirin doesn't always cut it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why they can be so disruptive. We're talking nausea sensitivity to light and sound. Like your whole day can get totally hijacked by one of these things.
The worst.
Now, we don't know the exact cause yet,
Okay.
but the good news is there's a lot we do know about what trips those neurological wires.
Okay.
And that's what we can actually do something about.
Like figuring out what's setting your migraines off.
Yes.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Right.
The article lays out all these common culprits,
Yeah.
stress hormones, you name it. But it's not about blaming a cheese plate or the weather.
Right.
It's about becoming a migraine detective.
Yes.
Figuring out your personal lineup of triggers.
Precisely. For some people, it might be that extra glass of wine
Oh, yeah.
or a sudden change in the weather. For others, it's stress, no question.
Stress is the worst.
And we're not just talking about feeling a little tense either.
Right.
Stress actually kicks off this whole cascade of physiological changes,
Wow.
releasing hormones that are practically begging for a migraine to start.
Stress hormones, the ultimate party crashers.
Right.
And speaking of party crashers, if you're dealing with hormonal changes too, forget about it.
Oh, yeah.
The article specifically mentioned this, especially for women.
Of course.
It's like our bodies have a monthly meeting.
Right.
And sometimes the main agenda item is let's give her a migraine.
It's true. Those hormonal fluctuations, especially around your cycle, can be brutal.
The worst.
But let's not forget about the weather.
Oh, right. The weather.
We can't control Mother Nature,
Nope.
but we can be prepared.
True. How?
I actually track barometric pressure changes using a weather app on my phone. It's been a game changer in terms of knowing when to be extra careful.
That's next level. And it makes total sense.
Yeah.
If you know a storm's brewing,
Right.
literally or metaphorically,
Exactly.
you can take steps to head off those triggers.
Exactly.
So we've got stress hormones, weather.
Right.
What about food and drink?
Yes. The usual suspects. Aged. Cheese, chocolate, red wine. Anything with caffeine.
Oh, no, my whole diet.
It's like a minefield out there.
Ugh.
But here's the thing. Everyone's different.
Okay.
You might be able to handle a giant plate of nachos with no problem,
Lucky.
while your best friend gets a migraine just from the smell of cheddar.
Oh, no.
It's about detective work.
Exactly. No indiscriminate cheese bans here. It's
Yeah.
all about figuring out what works for you. Now, this one might seem obvious, but the article also mentions sleep as a major player in the migraine game.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not just about the number of hours, but also about consistency.
It's true.
Yeah.
Inconsistent sleep patterns can really throw your body out of whack,
Yeah.
which can be a recipe for disaster if you're prone to migraines.
So we've been talking a lot about like playing defense, right?
Yeah.
Avoiding those triggers like a champ.
Right.
But what about going on the offensive? What
Yeah.
can we actually do
Right.
to kind of build up our migraine resistance?
Exactly.
The article talks about that too, right?
Absolutely. And it's not about deprivation or
Right.
turning your life upside down.
Right.
It's more about making these small, sustainable changes
Okay.
to support your overall well-being. And, you know, when your body is happy, your brain is less likely to throw those migraine parties.
Okay. I like the sound of that.
Right.
So what kind of like brain food are we talking about?
Well, the article specifically calls out magnesium-rich foods,
Okay.
things like leafy greens, almonds, avocado,
Huh.
even dark chocolate in moderation.
Ooh.
And here's the interesting part. Studies suggest that magnesium can actually help calm down those overexcited nerve cells in the brain.
What?
You know, the ones that go haywire during a migraine.
No way. So it's like magnesium is like a bouncer for your brain,
Exactly.
keeping those rowdy nerve cells in check.
It helps regulate electrical activity in the brain,
Wow.
which is key in preventing those electrical storms that lead to migraine pain.
That's amazing. I'm adding a giant spinach smoothie to my grocery list as we speak.
There you go. Yeah. It's a great start. And speaking of things that are good for your brain,
Okay.
The article also talks about the importance of regular exercise.
Really?
I know it seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
When you've got a migraine, the last thing you want to do is move a muscle,
Right.
right?
You...
When my head is pounding, even thinking about exercise
Right.
feels like torture.
I hear you. But studies have shown that consistent moderate exercise can actually help prevent migraines in the first place.
Wow.
And there's a fascinating reason for that. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins,
Okay.
which are basically natural painkillers.
Oh.
Plus, exercise helps reduce stress, improve sleep, all things that can contribute to a happy migraine-free brain.
So it's like a triple whammy against migraines.
Yeah. Pain relief, stress reduction, and better sleep. Sign me up.
But what kind of exercise are we talking about? Because if it's intense HIIT workouts, I'm out.
Don't worry, it doesn't have to be anything extreme.
Okay.
The article mentions swimming, cycling, yoga, even just brisk walking as good options.
No way.
It's more about finding something you enjoy and can stick with consistently.
Okay, so just finding what works for me.
Exactly.
Got it. So we've got food, we've got exercise.
Right.
What else can we add to our migraine-fighting arsenal?
Well, remember how we talked about stress hormones being major migraine triggers?
Oh, yeah.
That's why finding healthy ways to manage stress is crucial.
Right.
And I'm not talking about just lighting a scented candle and hoping for the best.
Okay.
I'm talking about real, tangible techniques.
Yeah. That can help lower those stress hormone levels and potentially head off a migraine before it even starts.
Okay, so spill the tea. What are these magical stress-busting techniques?
Well, the article mentions several.
Okay.
But one that really stands out is deep breathing exercises.
Okay.
It sounds so simple.
Yeah.
But taking those slow, deep breaths can actually shift your body from a stressed out state to a more relaxed one.
It's like hitting the reset button on your nervous system.
Exactly.
And the best part is you can do it anywhere, anytime.
Exactly. And it's not just deep breathing.
Okay.
The article also mentions things like meditation mindfulness.
Yeah.
Even just taking a few minutes to step away from whatever's stressing you out.
Right.
It's about finding what works for you and making it a regular part of your routine.
Mm-hmm. It's like building those stress-busting muscles so they're ready to go when life throws you a curveball.
Exactly. And, even with the best defenses in place, sometimes those migraine attacks still manage to sneak through.
Ugh, so true. It could be so frustrating when you're doing all the right things, but that migraine still hits. So what's the game plan when that happens?
Well, the article talks about a few different approaches. For those times when you just need to stop the pain in its tracks, over-the-counter options like ibuprofen or acetaminophen can be helpful.
Huh.
And you've probably heard that caffeine can sometimes help too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Those combo pain relievers with caffeine are like my go-to when I feel a migraine coming on.
Right, they can be surprisingly effective. But here's the thing. If you find yourself relying on those over-the-counter meds frequently, it's really important to loop in your doctor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They can help you figure out if there are other options that might be a better fit for you long-term.
Yeah, it's like those over-the-counter meds are great for a quick fix.
Right.
But if migraines are a regular thing in your life, you definitely want to explore all your options.
Absolutely. And luckily, there's a whole range of prescription options available these days. The article mentions triptans, which are designed to specifically target migraine pain. They work by blocking certain chemicals in the brain that play a role in those painful nerve signals.
Wow, so it's like they're intercepting those pain messages before they can even reach their destination. That's incredible.
It is pretty remarkable. And for some people, preventative medications might be the way to go. These are medications you take regularly even when you don't have a migraine to try and reduce the frequency and severity of attacks. It's about staying one step ahead of those migraines.
Oh, wow. It's like building a force field around your brain. I'm really interested in this idea of preventative care. It's so easy to get caught up in the cycle of just reacting to migraines when they hit, but the idea of actually preventing them is pretty amazing.
It really is. And the article even touched on some more unexpected treatment options like Botox.
Wait, Botox? Like the stuff people get for wrinkles?
Yep, that's the one. It turns out Botox isn't just for wrinkles anymore. It's actually FDA approved for chronic migraines, and studies have shown it can be really effective in reducing the frequency of attacks.
That's wild. I never would have guessed.
It just goes to show you that there's always something new to learn in the world of migraine treatment.
Right.
And that's why it's so important to have those open conversations with your doctor.
Yes.
They can help you navigate all the options and figure out the best approach for you.
Totally. It's like having a migraine fighting partner in your corner. Now, beyond medication, I have a personal tip that really helps me ride out the migraine storm. Sensory deprivation is my best friend. When that migraine hits, I swear by my eye mask and earplugs. Creating that dark, quiet space is like hitting the pause button on all the sensory overload that can make migraines so much
That's
worse.
a great point. Managing your environment is so important when it comes to migraines. And it's not just about creating a soothing space for when you're actually in the throes of an attack. The article also had some great tips on setting up a migraine-friendly environment at home in general. Things like soft lighting, calming colors, maybe even a diffuser with some lavender essential oil.
Ooh, now those sound like little luxuries, not just migraine survival tactics.
Exactly. It's about being proactive and creating a space that supports your overall well-being. And, one of the most important things you can do when it comes to living with migraines is to remember that you're not alone. It's so easy to feel isolated and frustrated when you're dealing with these invisible attacks, but it's crucial to reach out for support, whether that's from friends, family, or a therapist. Having people who understand what you're going through can make a world of difference.
I love that. And open communication is key in all areas of life when you're dealing with migraines, right?
Absolutely.
Like letting your employer and your loved ones know what you're going through can make a huge difference in how you manage everything.
Absolutely. It's not about using migraines as an excuse, but rather giving the people in your life a heads up so they can understand what you're dealing with and how they can best support you. And, at the end of the day, it's about adapting, not limiting yourself. Migraines might throw a wrench in your plans sometimes, but they don't have to control your life. You can still chase your dreams, enjoy your hobbies, and live a full and meaningful life. It just takes a little extra planning and self-care.
I love that message of empowerment. It's so easy to feel defeated by migraines, but you're right, they don't have to define us. We can live our best lives even with a little migraine baggage in tow.
Exactly. So to wrap things up, I think the biggest takeaway here is that knowledge is power. By understanding what triggers your migraines, what steps you can take to prevent them, and what to do when those migraine monsters do strike, you're taking back control. You're not just a passenger on this migraine roller coaster anymore. You're the one in the driver's seat.
That is such a great analogy. And, it's not about being perfect. It's about making small, sustainable changes over time and finding what works best for you. Maybe you start by adding more leafy greens to your diet, or maybe you finally give that meditation app a try. Every little step counts.
Couldn't agree more. And hey, if you're feeling inspired by what we've talked about today, we'd love to hear from you. Share your own migraine-busting tips, or tell us what resonated with you from this deep dive. You can find us on all the usual social media platforms. Until next time, stay curious, and here's to a future with fewer migraines.